Hello!
Hello!
And welcome to Ask a Reporter!
Yay!
We did a yay at the same time, which is really excellent because we didn't plan that.
We
so,
didn't.
So well done, Jack.
Yes.
I'm Matt, and
I'm Jack.
this is Jack. I'm not Nathan. Nathan's not here today.
I'm not Nathan either.
So you'll have to make do with us. I hope that's okay. Today here on Ask a Reporter, you guys are asking us questions about Jack's story that he did about koalas and some of the issues they're facing. So we'll get to your questions, but please, if you have some, write into us now on Twitter, hashtag Ask a Reporter, so Jack can answer all of your questions with his excellent koala knowledge, because when it comes to koalas,
I'm the
Jack's
guy.
your man.
Or the man.
Yeah. So just to start off with, Jack, would you like to recap your story and what it's all about?
I would, Matthew. Thank you for that. So this week I did a story about koalas and some concerns that people have for them. They are a vulnerable species, which means they're not endangered, which is good. But it still means that we have to be mindful and look out for them. So the story kind of looked at koalas in the southeast region of Queensland, plus some areas in New South Wales, and what's going on there and what's affecting koalas. So a lot of it's to do with habitat loss, and that comes from either deforestation, so logging, or in New South Wales, they're more concerned about salt water that's entering the soil, and it's not good for the trees. So in both cases, eucalyptus trees or gum trees, they're kind of the main problem that koalas are facing. They're getting rid of. So yeah, looked at what that is and what some people are doing to stop that and keep koalas around.
Excellent.
Because they are an Aussie icon.
Yeah, they're obviously really important to our national identity.
Yes. And they're cute and they're cuddly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never cuddled one.
I haven't
looks
either,
cuddled.
but from all
Cuddly,
reports,
so.
it's good.
Yeah, from all reports.
So let's kick off with a question from Cooper, who asks.
Hello, Cooper.
Hi, Cooper. Do you think koalas will be extinct in another 15 years?
Well, I hope not. I don't. I mean, there's really, as I said, they're a vulnerable species, so they aren't on the endangered list, which is a good sign, and they could easily be taken off that that vulnerable list. And like I said, people are putting in some. We're looking towards some projects to make that not happen. So they're looking at, in Queensland, and very similar in New South Wales, they're looking at purchasing land that would become like a national koala park where koalas would be safe. There wouldn't be any tree logging going on, so their habitat would be safe and they'd be kind of protected. So people are putting into place action to make sure that they don't go extinct in 15 years.
So is it fair to say that there are different issues facing koalas in different areas? So are there parts of the country where koalas are kind of doing okay? Yeah.
Well, in most places, koalas are doing okay, and there is some research that says even after land gets cleared or trees get cleared, that koalas are still surviving after that. So there's nothing at the moment that's saying that the numbers are dropping, but it is still a big concern.
Yeah. So it seems like really unlikely that koalas would actually become extinct.
Yes.
So at least that's a good sign. We do have to protect the ones we have, obviously.
Yeah.
So Jay has a question. Jay wants to know, why don't people make more koala crossings to prevent koala deaths from dogs and cars?
Good question, Jay. So I'm not sure. They probably should make more koala crossings. So it would be a good idea to stop particularly cars from hitting koalas. Yeah. So I do know that they have, often places will have signs that say if an animal is likely to be seen in that area, to slow down. And then there are some cases where there's these bridges. They look really cool. They're like these dome things that go over the roads. And then they've got trees and everything on them, so the animals can crawl over quite easily. Yeah. So that is a good idea. It's also about making sure though that the koalas actually use them. Yeah.
So how do you instruct a koala to make sure they use the road safely?
You can't really go out and say, hey koalas, listen up, we've got this bridge.
Yeah, guys.
You guys should be using it.
How much of an issue is in general, like, do you know, are koalas either being attacked by dogs or a risk from being hit by cars? Because while I imagine it's a problem, I assume that like habitat loss and issues like that are probably going to be a greater issue.
Well, habitat loss at the moment seems to be the bigger issue. So while it is still a risk that animals are going to be hit by cars and dogs attack them, the main thing at the moment, and what the story really focused in on, was habitat loss. So particularly because in southeast Queensland there's a lot more land clearing scheduled to be happening. So conservationists out there are kind of wanting that to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a new question in.
Okay.
From Year 4, St. Joseph's Hawthorn. Thanks,
Hello,
guys, for
Year
writing in.
4.
We really appreciate that. Their question is, what is the koala's main predator?
Oh, humans. No, I actually don't know. In the wild, I don't know, because they're so high up in trees and they just
So we
sit
also have
up
that
there.
question where they that Jay wrote in about dogs
dogs.
being an
Yeah.
issue. So what
I guess.
I guess so. There are
Oh yeah.
Luckily,
we've got we found a friend.
our excellent
Daniel
web tech
here.
extraordinaire here, Daniel, who's had a bit of a quick Google. Jack, do you want?
Okay. So their main predators, or their natural predators, are goannas, dingoes, owls, eagles, and pythons.
Wow, and all of which are most likely to prey upon juvenile koalas. So
Okay.
so young koalas are more
Okay.
at risk there.
I was
But
going to say
feral
owls.
animals,
That's
Yeah.
powerful. It says powerful owls.
but feral animals are also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That is really useful information, but I guess it is still secondary to the other risks that.
Well,
that
yeah,
koalas are facing.
and the key word in there also was their natural predators. So that's kind of that's how nature works. So that's it's that kind of thing is going to happen in the wild,
Yeah.
where other animals attack other animals. But these things are man-made. Is that the-
I mean, I wouldn't exactly say
A dog is a-
animals are man-made, but yeah.
No,
we do.
I meant like deforestation.
Oh, deforestation.
That's-
Yeah, of course. That's
Yes,
Yeah,
that's something we can
I
stop.
understand. Yeah. We've really
The
got
koalas aren't
sort of
man-made.
The koalas are not man-made, and
They're koala-made.
neither are feral animals. But we do clearly have a really big problem with feral animals.
Yes,
here
and
in Australia.
there will be a story as well. It's not my story, but there is a story in next week's episode about feral animals in the desert and what some scientists are doing to protect native animals that are at threat from feral animals. So check that out.
Yeah.
'cause that'll be very
Because
interesting.
obviously, so the things we hear about all the time, animals like cane toads, like spreading across Australia and
Yeah.
being poisonous and a huge danger to our native wildlife.
Feral cats,
Feral cats.
not the funny type of cats,
No.
because house cats can be funny.
Okay. Rabbits. Rabbits.
Rabbits.
Are another one.
Cows, but I don't think they're threatening.
Don't think they're threatening anyone.
They're pretty happy.
So there are a lot of potential threats to koalas and our other native wildlife. So we've obviously got to do what we can to look after them.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that question. That was a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Jack,
I learned something.
you learned something. Jack, do you tell us what you're working on for the upcoming show?
Yes, it's
BTN.
very exciting. So I'm doing a story about the Welcome Book, which you guys have been sent in drawings for, and we're finally going to unveil it. So it's going to be launched on next week's episode, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that is very exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about the Welcome Book?
Yeah, so if you guys remember last year, we launched a campaign. So we asked you guys to send in your artworks with welcome messages and your favourite things in Australia. And what we were going to do with those is what we have done rather, is we've put them into a book. It's a very beautiful book, I would say.
It is really cool.
It's really lovely, and then that's going to be handed out to migrant and refugee families when they move to Australia. So it'll be included in a pack. It's called the Welcome Pack, and the government hands that to families to kind of get them started in Australia and introduce them to Australia. But it's filled with like kind of boring things like how to set up a bank account, tax, and like it's very important stuff, but there was nothing really in there for kids, and so that's what we wanted
The welcome
to do.
book is all about. Yeah. So
welcome kids.
obviously tune into our show on Tuesday so you can see the big reveal there.
Yes.
Now we do have another couple of questions that have come in. So one of them is again from Year 4 at St. Joseph's Hawthorn. Good stuff, guys. Thank you very much. Why can't companies build in different areas?
Oh.
So I guess that one is about land being cleared, so development can happen.
Well, sometimes, I mean, it could be that, you know, I guess they've purchased that land, so that is the land that, or they've been given permission to work on that land. So it would cost, I guess, them a lot more to move it. So what a solution to that is the government is wanting to purchase land that can't be touched. So that's the way that the government's looking at it. So businesses can continue because as horrible as it is that koalas are losing their homes, it also, there's a lot of people who work for companies and work in businesses that, you know, cut down trees. So what they're doing is they're setting aside land where koalas are safe. I guess the idea is they want to make sure koalas are protected in this way. So they're saying, hey, nothing's going to happen to them if we can manage this one particular area. So it's like you can work outside of this area, but this area, this is the koalas' place. Yeah.
And we have another question from Year 3 CEPS. It is,
hi guys.
We have one big question. What is hardwood logging? Can you talk to us about hardwood logging?
So it's when companies come in and they cut down lots and lots of trees, and then they take that timber and they turn it into all sorts of different things. If you probably look around the room, like I can see a timber table, that would have come from hardwood logging, I'm guessing. I don't actually know the origin of the table over there that you can't see. But timber, it gets cut down and it gets turned into all sorts of different things. So that's kind of, I mean, it's a bigger term. It's a term, I guess, for a bigger production, bigger company, bigger industry.
Yeah. So basically, once land is cleared, trees are cut down, koalas are left without habitat, and they end up looking, and other animals obviously looking for new places to live, and that's when sometimes bad things can happen.
And the housing out there is really hard to get into for koalas.
It's a tough market.
It's a tough market.
So we've got another question from St. Joseph's Hawthorn, which is, what could we do to help koalas? What could we personally do?
Well, you could look out for them. I don't know. There's not. I mean, there are a lot of great organisations out there. That do a lot for koalas, and you could look into what they're doing and if they've got any programs in your area. I know they do have koala counting, like citizen scientist projects.
So you can get involved in just
well, what it is. So I know they had one in Adelaide like last year, and because I really wanted to do a story on it, but I got my koala story this year. And people were going out into the Adelaide Hills, which is like big forests, and just walking around, and when they saw a koala, they'd take note of it and log it into an app or something, and then scientists use that to keep track of where the koalas are. So you can get involved that sort of way as well. And that means you're getting outdoors, you get to see koalas in their natural habitat.
We have done a story on that, so I'll tweet that out.
There we go. We've done a story a few years ago, which is why I think I didn't get to do the story. But
which gives you more information about it, so that's good. And so I guess one of the things about doing stories like this one is you're kind of raising awareness to the situation that animals like koalas are facing. So if more people are aware of it, it might inform their choices in things they do and the way they act and the way they respond to things. So that's always good. I have another question here saying from Year 3 CEPS, how do you know how many koalas are left?
Well, from some of that actually comes from what I was just saying about how they do koala counting. So by doing that, we can find out how many koalas are in a particular area, and then we can take that data and compare it to, you know, So there was a count last year in Adelaide, and then there was one a couple of years ago. So they can compare that and say, yeah, there's actually more koalas or there are less koalas. So, I mean, while we don't know the exact amount, it's kind of a estimated amount based on data that we collect.
Yeah.
And they do that for all sorts of animals as well.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's good to know how many are out in the wild.
Yeah, but it means that someone is literally going around like, oh, that's a koala.
That's a koala.
Put it down in your little notebook or your app or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty cool thing to think about, really.
Yeah.
See, we have another question from Year 4 St. Joseph's Hawthorne. You guys, do koalas only live in eucalyptus trees? Do they only live in eucalyptus trees, Jack?
Well, they only eat eucalyptus leaves, so they probably wouldn't find much joy in any other trees.
Yeah. They could just hang out
I mean,
in a different tree for a bit. Like,
they could.
Yeah, what's this place like? Pretty good, nice bark there.
They could.
I don't really know.
I don't know either. I have never spoken to a koala and asked their preference, but I do believe they only eat eucalyptus leaves, so they're more likely to stay in those trees. Fun fact.
Yes.
I don't know this personally. I don't know if you told me this either.
Oh, I don't know.
I think you did. But it was about what koala poo apparently tastes like.
It was not me.
It wasn't you?
I do not know the answer to that.
I don't, as I said, I do not know this from personal experience, but apparently koala poo tastes like mint.
Mmm. Yummy.
Because of the eucalyptus leaves.
Yeah.
Don't try and find that out. You can Google to find that out, but I wouldn't recommend going out and finding that out for yourself.
Doing it yourself. I think that is an amazing point to end our koala discussion on.
On koala poo. Well, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Quick fact, rarely koalas will eat leaves from other native Australian trees.
There you go. So it's very rare that koalas would eat leaves of another tree.
Yeah, so koalas will eat non-eucalyptus leaves from other native trees. Really
no koala I ever met.
Yeah.
No.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your questions, guys. They've been really interesting. Hope you've learned some new stuff, and please tune in on Tuesday for
the last episode of... Oh, no, it's not the last episode of the term. Sorry.
So, yeah.
Just endings.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks very much. We'll catch you next time. It probably won't be. It'll be Nathan, but whatever. That's cool. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.